What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way. As you are probably already aware, or if you're not, then I will say anyway, I have a character roller that I created myself for D&D adjacent creatures, characters to design. But recently I have been especially inspired by Ioops videos. Is that how you say it? Ioops? But she does a lot of like character roller situations with like actual dice and stuff like that, and I have done something kind of similar before, but I want to kind of expand upon the process, make it a little bit more specific. And I do have another d20 with me. I had the big one before, but it's quite loud, so instead I have gotten my d20s that I got a while ago. They have little ducks in them. My duck 20s. I have two of them, so if I need to do any like big modification, which I might because I have the character sheet thing up for certain parts. In other parts, I might actually need to half this because it's only a 1 through 10. I might have a D10 somewhere. I think that I do, but I wanna use my ducks. So first off, we are going to roll a character from my roller and get like the race, their gender, the maybe like mane or skin color of the character as we usually do. This is my roller. Again, I made it in like Godot a little while ago. I recently revamped it a couple months ago to make it look a little bit prettier. And it's up on itch. I'll probably link to it along with any other thing that I'm using that I can link to in the description. I don't know why I forgot that word. All right, but let's just start and get our character. And yes, we can get their height, their class, their species, their gender, and their skin tone, or I've used it a lot of the time as like a general tone for the character overall. So a lot of those things are covered. So we're going really into like the specifics here. So let's just roll. I think I'm going to do a standard character, and I think that I'm going to just start with the 1 since we're getting more specific here, and so it'll be a longer process. And if I feel like I need more or could do more, then I will. I won't push myself to do my regular 3 every time. So let's just roll our character. A boop. 9 foot tall. Jesus. 9 foot tall druid, a merfolk, and a man with a pink skin tone or overall color. Interesting. Okay. That is fascinating and honestly really cool. So I will grab this table and boop this over down to clip, paste, and it'll go in this little nook here. As you can see, I have set up a whole little thing for us to play around with here. I'm going to start over here with the ranges. So I made it so that we have appearance. Though this is a male character, obviously they could still dress particularly masculine or feminine. So that's the idea here. 5 being like androgynous. 5 being like androgynous, 1 being extremely masculine, and 10 being like hyper fem. And then that could also apply to like body type generalizations and stuff like that. Not that it needs to, but for the sake of brevity. And then we have hair. We have 1 being curly, 10 being straight, 10 pin straight, curly, like really kinky coiled hair. I don't know the curl numbers, but whatever one is the highest. And then short or long, again, kind of like my length is short or even buzz cut for 1, and then long being like, you know, down to their butt. And then light or dark in the hair, in that case being like a like albinistic blonde to like black, right? And obviously the color could very much be influenced by this main color up here, it being the point. And then I have these, which will be from a table that I have pulled up from the Universal PC emulator, which Ioops also uses, and I will be using their adjectives and motivation descriptions to roll these characters later on. But let's just start with our appearance. Let me get my phone on so I can record the dice roll. Sorry, 1 through 10 is going to be 1 through 5, and then beyond that is going to be 6 through 10, basically, is the idea. So let's just boop. 17. So that's going to be, what, a 7? Effectively? Based off of the, yeah. So that is a 7. Let me get a fun color here. I'll get their base color. 7. So a pretty feminine guy. Not super, but like getting there. Okay. And then for our hair, 2. Okay, so very curly. And then a boop, a 6. So that would be, that would be a 3, right? Because, is that how that works? Yeah. See, that would be a 3. It's difficult to gauge it. Should I make that a 1 then? Should I make this a 1 if it's half? Okay, so super curly, fairly short hair. And for the lightness or darkness, the value of it, 8. Ooh, that was an 8. Where'd it go? There it is. It landed on an 8. So that'd be a 4. So fairly light, really kind of in the middle. Like in the dirty blondish to whatever vibe, right? Okay. And now this next one is going to be a little weird math-wise. So I'm going to be using both dice and using the second die as a modifier, so like multiplying. So if I get like a 1, then it'll just be the number times itself and we'll get the base numbers on the table. And if I get more than 100, I might re-roll. Just to make it fair. Okay. 11. Which is which, actually? I should roll the original number first and then the modifier so I don't get them mixed up. Okay, so 3 and 15. So that would be 45. Okay, so their adjective is 45 prying. Let's go for 3. I think that makes sense. Okay, so first number, 19. Sorry, you re-roll. 19 times 14. Math? Yeah, that's more than 100. Okay, let's re-roll. That was a baby roll. 10, 12. So that is 120. Which is also above. That's also above 100. God damn it. 18 times 4. 72. Cultured. Prying. Cultured. And one more. 2 times 19. 19. I'm not good at basic math. Okay, forgive me. 38. Serene. Interesting. So kind of like a... you know, like a busybody, right? Like they're chill and they're like a high society kind of person, but like kind of secretly getting information on people, like a silver tongue, like a honeypot situation almost, where they're like I like that. Okay. Interesting. And then their motivation, there are 2 tables for this. Verb and a noun. So, verb 4, 12. 12, 24, 36, 48. So, advocate. And then motivation. 11. 5. 55. Noun. Pleasure. Advocate pleasure. A sex worker? Advocate pleasure. Kind of like a Dionysus situation. Very, oh my god, hedonistic freaking busybody. Who, like, gets into things. But they're a druid? Interesting. Like, kind of like, not necessarily the opposite, but like the opposite of what you would expect. But they are merfolk. So maybe kind of like a siren, right? A siren dude who is all about like the earthly pleasures. He is like doing what he's doing like for his own sake, effectively, and also kind of like gathers information on people. I feel like maybe I could use another 2 words for his motivation there. Let's see. 14, 8. Calculator. And I just realized that I don't need 2, it's above 100. One more. 5, 16. I just realized that I don't need to, I think this is 80, okay. I don't need to care about what order I roll the dice in. Oh, there's the other die for the camera there. Sorry, what was the number I just rolled? 80. So this is our motivation verb again. Advocate pleasure to seek noun. That's baby roll. 3. 13. Is that not? It's not above 100. No, it's 39. To seek military? I don't know if... Does that work? I mean, okay, so... Mermaid prince. High society kind of guy. Very, like, akin to Aquaman. Right? He is... in, like, the overworld. The reason that he's adventuring, because this is going to be an adventurer character. The reason that he is in the overworld is because he is acting like a hedonist, and he is. But he's kind of like betting powerful, like, figures and stuff like that in hopes of finding allies to help save the ocean. Like, something that's going on in, like, his ocean environment that is influencing his druidic role beyond being a high society guy. Maybe he's not a prince. Maybe he's just a very, like, high class figure. Right? Okay. I think that I could work with that. I think that I could definitely shape a character off of that. Okay. I think that I've got my character. I think that I've got an idea as to how I could shape his story. This is much more specific in terms of, like, the randomization that I'm used to. So I will pop this over to speed paint voiceover and show you what I came up with for this guy, because I think that this is going to be fun. So I'll see you there. So I took another note from Ayup's book and started with the portrait of the character. It definitely seems to help, if only because I'm impatient and like to get to the fun part of the design first, and this way I'm not fussing with the face in the middle of trying to figure out the posing and anatomy. I also used the dice a few more times off camera, though mainly for what were essentially coin flip yes or no questions whenever I got stuck. Does this character wear piercings? Dice said no. Makeup? Absolute yes. I wound up using the base color rolled more so on his hair and went for a darker purple on the skin with some blue makeup. I'm not a big makeup person myself, I don't know if that's obvious, but at some point or another I saw this like framed eyeliner look and decided it looked really glam and cool, so he gets that along with some shimmer on the lid and cheekbones. I figured along with maybe purposefully blushing further, his blood is also blue because that feels very mermaidy to me. So that extended into his other plush points as well, although I did also add glitter to his shoulders, but I think that was just his decision. Just glitter everywhere. Some further questions as I was thinking up the body. So this guy is described as cultured. Does he show that off by wearing fancy clothes? I said yes. Heels? Also yes. I couldn't decide if it was funnier that he was 9 feet tall with or without the heels. I think the roller would imply without, but either way, he is an egregious height to also wear heels. At some point or another, I asked long nails and got yes, but no to claws, so we get some nice manicured almond shapes. I also added some minor webbing in between his fingers. I wanted to ask if his aquatic half was a fish or a marine mammal, and the answer was fish, which was good because I'd already given him a pretty fish-looking appearance. When I asked if he was a shark, though, I got a 10, barely no, which is, again, kind of going by the format I learned this from, no, but. So how I took that was that he's not a shark, but he is some sort of other carnivorous fish. This process is definitely not to the full extent of detail that I could go into, but I do like having a bit of playroom to expand on what I've got. Initially, I didn't really think about the result I got for the whole fish thing until I got to his body. I ended up going for my favorite compromise, the tail and legs mermaid. Listen, the dice said that I could, and I had wound up leaning into this very blatant heart motif for him, so I thought it would be cute to make his tail fin a rough heart shape too. I struggled here a bit, but because I'd also given him some ruffles, I realized that there is totally a fish that fits both the very extra look and feel to this character, and meets the dice roll criteria, a beta fish. So I made the tail that very pretty ruffled fan they can have, and I even went back to the initial face design to swap out the kind of standard cliche fish fin ears with some more ruffly fans. I did already really like this character, but I feel like this helped point out some more things for him. Like, not that he needs a reason to be fabulous, but betas are known for both their aggression and their beauty. It also really helps with the whole color scheme I wound up going for, which is clearly quite pastel and colorful. What is funny is that I could absolutely see beta fish mermaids really ranging from, well, like our boy here, to a super, like, torn up, muted black and red fighter type. I ultimately settled on the name Valentino because all this boy was reminding me of was Valentine's with all the pinks and purples, not to mention the heart motif that I added. You wouldn't exactly expect a water druid to effectively be Prince Bubblegum, but I think that's how Valentino likes it. He's on a reconnaissance mission of sorts. That being said, I think he didn't exactly grow up under any druidic teaching per se. I think maybe he was landside a lot more until his home started being attacked, not just the clan of mermaids, but the water and forests surrounding it. Valentino was granted the ability to protect his home from some sort of force of nature from the places surrounding it, but he also has this pre-existing means of doing things, which is very hedonistic, but also, in his defense, quite effective. He charms, and more often than not, yes, sleeps with political higher-ups to get a conversation started. I think it's a really interesting contrast, because while druids can be very hippie-like, free love and bear sex and all that, I feel like they're not the biggest charisma class. Obviously, they don't need it to do, like, magic, but they're also clearly very removed from society in general. I think an interesting call to adventure would be some force of nature, contacting an otherwise initially very domesticated character like Valentino. He speaks for the ocean in a very, different kind of way. I think he could also obviously find himself moving further along the path a bit more clearly and understandably as time goes, but this is a D&D character, so we're ideally seeing him at the beginning of his story. I do think that I am going to leave this here. I do love to make a group a lot, but maybe I can just tie in the next character I make because, I want to do this again. It's definitely a lot of fun and ties in pretty well with my existing roller, I think. I'm just out of time now. At one point or another, I do want to give solo campaign journaling a try. It's basically just stacked writing prompts if you think about it. That being said, I'm honestly happier to just sit back and kind of try to flesh out one character much more like this. I kind of just realized that, while I do want to make things for the channel and you guys, I can also just do what I want, autonomy and all that. I'm not stuck with the one format of drawing 3 things when I'm not necessarily feeling it, and I feel like I got a much stronger connection to this individual character out of it. Let me know what you think in the comments, along with any other art challenges you might want to see me try in the future. I also have a whole backlog of previous roller business if you're into that, especially hybrids. Love me some hybrids. Next session of this will more likely than not be a hybrid. At that though, I'll leave this here with my boy Valentino, and I will see y'all next time.